7th, 2025. We'll give it a few minutes for people to join. Surprisingly, we had a lot more people than I expected on our Christmas Eve stream. Hey, Mike. Hope you had a good Christmas. Give it another minute or so. Good afternoon, AG. Thanks for joining. Well, I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and Santa was good to you all. Curious what guns or accessories you guys got for Christmas. And Ron, welcome. Thanks for joining. So in gun news, I don't know if you've been following, but Cory Booker now is campaigning to have a gun bill that would require everyone to have a FFL in order to receive or sell a firearm. Fortunately, he doesn't have a prayer with that because he's not going to get enough votes in the Senate. But this is my point. These liberals, they just don't stop. Every day, they just keep trying new things to chip away at our Second Amendment rights. Now, that bill, the big, beautiful bill that eliminated the $200 tax stamp effective January 1st, the liberals are already trying to reverse that on suppressors and short-barreled rifles. So we'll see how that goes. It just never ends. Every time we think we have something going in our favor, we take 2 steps backwards. So I'd like to hear what you all got for Christmas, and then I'll tell you what I got. If there's anyone out here that's got a Glock 29 or 30, I will be giving away 2 Pierce grip extensions. I was sent 2 of them to review a while back, and I already have them, so I don't need them. And I love those things. That eliminates that floating pinky thing. So if anyone's got a Glock 29 or a Glock 30, you can claim those. And thank you, Michael. Thanks for joining, and thanks for the kind words. you get more nasty comments than positive, so I appreciate that. And here we go with this. Okay, so what do we got? WMR 22 Magnum opinion. I'll be honest with you, Bethy. I haven't fired a WMR 22 Magnum, so I really don't have any experience as far as that goes. If anyone else out here has done so, please answer. That is one of the reasons we do this live stream, is so that we could share information. Like I always say, everybody doesn't know everything, but everybody knows something. And Zombie, happy belated Christmas. And Mike F., happy holidays to you too. Well, I hope everybody got what they wanted. I got what I wanted. I know for weeks now, I've been on the fence between the Marlin lever action and the Henry lever action 357 rifle. And I finally made my decision, and I got the Henry Big Boy carbine 357 lever action. So that's my Christmas present. It should be in next weekend because of Christmas and New Year, the shipping schedule is short. But I decided to go with the Henry. And I appreciate that, Michael. I really do. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel as well. And Duke Stardom, hello, welcome. I'll tell you what pushed me toward the Henry, Michael. It really was a hard decision. I like the Marlin a lot, especially that Ruger owns them. But really, what pushed me towards the Henry is I like the octagonal barrel, and the brass gate is just absolutely gorgeous. So for me, it's just a matter of aesthetics. I just think the Henry looks really cool, and they are from Bayonne, New Jersey. The carbine has got a 16 3/4 inch barrel. And Zombie, I've heard of the LEM triggers. Personally, I know a lot of people like messing with triggers. I don't mess with any of my triggers. It's as horrible as the Glock triggers are. I don't mess with them either. And Common Sense, hello to you too. But I've been on the fence for months. I was actually even thinking of the Smith & Wesson, other than the fact that they're way overpriced. So then it came down to the Marlin and the Henry. Like I said, being that Ruger owns Marlin, there's no question about the quality, but the action on that Henry is butter smooth. The brass side gate is absolutely gorgeous. And that's pretty much what made my decision. And I like the 16 3/4 inch barrel. I decided to go with the carbine because I found that the 20-inch barrel was just a little too long. I see we have a bunch of new people here. So thank you for watching. We do this live stream every Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern and every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. If you haven't done so, also, please subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that. And Dale, you can't go wrong with a Ruger either. That Ruger 5.56 is a really nice looking gun. I went with the Smith & Wesson M&P 15. I probably should have got the Ruger. And Randy, Hello to you in Oklahoma. Glad you could join us. And that's a good collection you got there. Can't go wrong with either of those. Now, Zombie, like I said, I don't think I could have gone wrong no matter what I went with. Um, the Smith & Wesson, I just feel, is very overpriced. The Marlin and the Henry are comparable. Um, I know the lever on that Henry is just buttery smooth. Um, and like I said, no matter what one I would have gone with, you can't go wrong. Uh, Betty, a grip safety. I don't understand. First of all, what you're talking about with the grip safety on which gun? Because if you're talking about a pistol, I'm not a fan of grip safeties. And any of my guns that do have them, I don't use them. The safety is keep your damn finger off the trigger. Yeah, I don't like my Glock triggers either, um, but I'm not a fan of swapping the triggers out. The only thing I do when I get a Glock is I change those crappy plastic sights with iron sights. Um, I have not shot any of those FRT triggers. But Bethy, my reason for that, and don't get me wrong, I mean, on a 1911, they're meant to be carried cocked and locked. But the problem is that if you have multiple guns and you rotate your carry guns, that's one more thing to remember under duress. Do you have your safety on? And I really don't want to have to remember any more than I need to. So um, I personally, like I said, I'm not a fan of grip safeties. With some guns, you have no choice. Um, they come with the grip safety anyway. I just don't use them, except on the 1911. So I was gonna get the Smith and Wesson FPC in 10 millimeter. I have it in 9, and I'm impatient. I should have waited. And a year later, they came out with the 10 millimeter version. Um, but I knew if I didn't save up the money and buy the Henry, I'd never get it because I'd always find something. I agree, Reaper. It's all about the having the correct holster and keeping. If you have trigger discipline, you'll never have a problem anyway. And Steve, to answer your question, there is nothing wrong with MagTech ammo. I use it all the time. I've never had any failures with it. Seems to be on sale a lot at Smoky Mountain Guns and Ammo. And if the price is right, I wouldn't hesitate to buy a boatload of it if it was cheap enough. Matter of fact, I really haven't had any bad experiences with that many ammo manufacturers. Um, the only failures I've had that were notorious were the Remington Thunderbolts. Those 22 long rifles, I just had nothing but problems. Um, yeah, that's a good deal, Steve. I'm going to answer your question, Reaper. Uh, and Mike, yes, the Fiocchi is very good ammo. I got a boatload of that too. I'm going to answer your question, Reaper, and I don't want you to get offended. Yes, I've shot a 40. I used to have one, but I just think a 40 caliber is silly. So I got rid of mine and got a 10 millimeter. And you could shoot 40 caliber out of a 10 millimeter. And I just don't understand why anybody nowadays would go with a 40. You might as well just go with the 10. Because to get to the 40, they took a perfectly good 10 millimeter round and they neutered it. They cut the case down to make it a 40 caliber. It's the same diameter. It's just a shorter case. I just don't see any point whatsoever. And people that have 40s say, oh, it's the same thing as a 10 millimeter. It's nothing like a 10 millimeter. If you shot a full-blown hot 10 millimeter load, 40 is nothing like that. 10 millimeter is also fairly easy to control. It just takes practice. But if it were me now, I mean, if you already have a 40, that's fine. And 10 millimeters are making a huge comeback. Everybody's making them. And now they're giving away 40 caliber. 10 years ago was just the opposite. 10 millimeter was on the way out. Everybody was going to a 40. Now they're all going back to 10 millimeters. And if you already own a 40 caliber, there's nothing wrong with it. I used to have a Glock 22. But if you were to go out and buy one now, I just think it absolutely makes no sense. Just go with a 10, shoot your 40 out of it. It's just like buying a 357 revolver and shooting 38 special. Even if you never want to shoot 357, I would always recommend getting it anyway because you have the capability if you want to, and it's like giving you two guns in one. But I know when I talk about the 40, a lot of people get their panties in a bunch like I said something bad about their mother. But the truth is the truth. 40 caliber is just a watered down version of 10 millimeter. And it is what it is. Now, this is great. We got a lot of new people today. We get more and more new people every week. So that means that YouTube is pushing out the live stream notifications. So that's great. If you're new to the channel and you haven't done so, please subscribe. I'd appreciate that as well. Duke Stardom, Glock 20. I love my Glock 20. Well, JPFFA, that's not necessarily true. It depends on where you're getting your ammo. Yes, for the most part, a lot of the 10 millimeter is really watered down to be 40 caliber. But if you buy like buffalo bore and full-blown 10 millimeter, it's nothing like 40 caliber. To answer your question there, Jonesing 1000, you're kind of right with that. I'll give you a real quick history. When they had the FBI, when they had the Miami shootout in the 80s, the FBI, that was the bloodiest day in FBI history. They were using 9 millimeters, and the two outlaws were ex-military, and they were marksmen. And the FBI used the excuse that they were outgunned. They weren't outgunned, they were outclassed. So what they did was they decided to come out and they asked Smith & Wesson to come out with a 10 millimeter. And then the agents started failing their qualification. But it wasn't because of the gun. It wasn't because of the 10 millimeter. It was because they sit behind the desk all day long, right? And the gun that they designed around the cartridge at that time was inferior. So the whole reason they went to the 10 millimeter, they already had the 45. So they went to a brand new cartridge because then they didn't have to hear, well, you already had the 45. Why didn't you go with that? So they said the 10 was so great. Um, and they failed qualification, but it had nothing to do with the 9mm being inferior. It had to do with they were basically outclassed by the Outlaws. Um, and then because of that, they went to Smith and Wesson and they said, we need a round that's high pressure, high capacity without the recoil. So they took the perfectly good 10mm case and they neutered it and they cut the neck and made 40 caliber. Now, that's where 40 caliber came from. All right, now we got a couple 10mm fans out here. You may not have been here when I said it earlier. I have 2 Pierce grip extensions that will fit the Glock 20, Glock 29, Glock 21, and Glock 30. And I've already used them on my gun, so I have no need for them. So I will put my email address in the chat. And if anybody needs them, I will gladly ship them out to you. They work really well on the Glock 29 or the Glock 30 because I just hate that floating pinky thing you get. Now, just so you know, this is only a grip extension. It doesn't add an extra round to the magazine, but it does give you more to grip on that subcompact frame. So, take you button, you're going away. Well, that's the problem. It's afternoon, and usually at around noon, the liberals that live in mommy and daddy's basement start waking up. So, yeah, the Delta Elite is awesome. Rock Island is okay for what it is. But again, those of you who have a Glock 29 or Glock 30, I am giving away 2 Pierce grip extensions. So my email is in the chat. Send me an email. I do give away things time to time. I had a Rock Island 10mm at one time. It was a nice shooting gun. I got rid of it. I did not like the bull barrel. That is a real pain in the ass to take down, that you got to stick a paper clip in there. I just did not like that at all. I really wish when I bought the Henry that the Henry had a 10mm. That would have really been cool. But I do have a boatload of 357 ammo, so it'll be fun to shoot it out of that. I also bought a Ruger GP100 a few weeks ago. Yeah, Jonesing, that I just don't like having to use tools. Solo driver, I love 45s as well, hence Pro Gun 45. I used to have a Kimber Custom too. I'll be honest with you, I had it for about 2 weeks and I got rid of it. That thing was so finicky. It jammed like every 5th round. I couldn't deal with it anymore. So I wound up getting rid of that, and I got the Colt Government Competition Plus. And it's a shame. I always wanted a Kimber. But, you know, it's like anything. You can get a good one or a bad one. Maybe I just was unlucky and got a bad one, but the experience was not good. And the way I am when it comes to firearms, if I have a bad experience with a brand, I will never buy it again. Well, as long as it works for you there, Zombie, good for you. Kimber's been around a long time. Like I said, I just did not have good luck with mine, so I will never buy another one. I will also never buy another Glock, only for different reasons. I don't like the fact that they sold out. Don't like the fact that they took their tried and proven firearms and made V series, and now they already have the Gen 6s out. Um, you know, prior to all this nonsense, a first-time gun owner, I would always recommend the Glock 19. And now, I'll never buy another Glock. Thanks for that, Mike. I look forward to seeing that. I got the Smith & Wesson folding carbine in 9mm, and now it came out in 10, and I really wanted it, but I figured if I don't get the Henry now while I have the money, I'll never get it, because I tend to do is when I get a few bucks, I just go out and I buy a gun. And I'm trying really hard, and I'm getting better at waiting until I have enough money to get what I really want. Yeah, you let me know how that works out for you there, Rob, whatever. Good luck with that High Point. And Zombie, I did get the Henry. I got the Henry Big Boy in 357. I ordered it last week. I'm hoping it'll be in next weekend. Problem is with the Christmas and New Year holiday in there, the shipping schedules are short. Yeah, well, the problem with that jonesing is that you can no longer buy the Glock 17. You can't buy any Glocks anymore except for the 43, 43X, and 48. All the other Glocks now are V series and Gen 6. So, it's funny when people mention high points, I don't know whether they're being a horse's ass or they're serious, because I don't know how anybody could possibly trust their life to a high point. But yeah, the Frank Beer show. Yeah, I think the whole issue with Glock that they sold out. I don't think it's. I don't think that they came out with the V series because Newsom banned the Glocks. Um, you don't you don't discontinue a gun and then the next month later have them already out in production. I mean, this has been going on a long, long, long time. Um, they just sold out, and to be honest with you, now with the V series, I'm not willing to be a guinea pig. Um, I will never, um, I will never recommend the Glock again. You know what, Clinton? Broke people by High Point. Wait another week or two and buy a better gun. I mean, this is what I don't understand. Like when I go into a gun store, um, I don't ever say, let me buy the cheapest piece of crap I could buy to protect my life. Yes, Rayam, that is true. You can buy the Glocks as long as they're in stock, but they will not be shipping any more of them. But eventually, they're going to go out. But, so, what I would recommend personally is instead of a Glock 19, I highly recommend the Ruger RXM. It's built on Glock Gen 3 technology. It's already optic ready. It's got a tritium night sight. The grip is far superior to the Glock because it's made by Magpul, and it's $350. And I put that up against my Glock 19 any day. So that is a gun I would recommend for a new shooter. And I do like 1911s, but they're not for everybody. Canic is a good gun. Um, if you put a Canic next to a Walther, they look very similar. And Alex, you're gonna have to go away because you're just being an asshole. Yeah, you can't, like I said, you can't go wrong with a Canic. Um, they're made in Turkey, but I like the Ruger RXM because it's built on the Glock 19 Gen 3 technology. So um, you'll have millions of aftermarket parts and accessories for it. Um, After a year, Magpul finally released the full-size grip module for the RXM, which I just installed. Still waiting for the subcompact grip module. But the best bang for the buck, in my opinion, is the Ruger RXM. For $350, there is no 9mm pistol that compares to that. Opinion on the TISA? The TISAS is actually a good quality gun. I have a few of them. Smoky Mountain Guns and Ammo has had the TISAS tank on sale for like $300 forever. They're great quality guns, but again, my philosophy when I buy a gun is I never buy a gun with the intention of getting the cheapest gun I can buy. I save my money and I buy the best I can afford. Don't get me wrong, everybody looks for a deal, right? I mean, I'm always looking for a deal myself, but my goal isn't cheap because cheap and protecting yourself and your family shouldn't even be used in the same sentence. Drummer Dave, awesome, brother. I love my Glock 20. Um, I think the Glock 20, in my opinion, is the best 10mm ever made. It's very common with the Alaskan tour guides. Donovan, um, this is just me. I am not a fan of pocket carry. I I'm just not a fan of that at all. And honestly, the 380 is not that much smaller than a 9mm. Um, and I would never recommend anything less than 9mm for defense. Um, but to each his own. That's the great thing about guns. Ah, Burger Clower. What's my favorite gun brand? That's tough because they're all good. Um, Probably right now, out of all the guns that I have, for my revolver, I would say the Colt, and for my semi-automatics, I would say Springfield. I know a lot of people like the Smith & Wesson M&Ps. Um, Personally, I find the trigger very gritty. And Zombie, I also have the SIG P320 X10. Um, But I'll be honest with you, my Glock 20 will outshoot that any day. And I was a little disappointed when I bought the SIG P320 X10. I bought it because it's compensated. And I thought that it would mitigate the recoil more than my Glock 20. And surprisingly, there's less recoil on my Glock 20 than there is on the SIG. So, and you can't go wrong with a Ruger either, David. I just bought a Ruger GP100, 357 Magnum revolver. And Clint, thank you for subscribing. I also bought a Ruger SR 1911 stainless. I agree, Zombie. Glock 20 for the win. No, I have not tried the Roland conversion. I have a Glock 21, but I keep that as a 45 ACP. I'm not a big fan of conversions. I just buy another gun. Again, for those who have a Glock 29 or Glock 30, I am giving away the Pierce grip extensions. So I put my email in the chat. Send me your email and I will send them to you. I hate to just throw them in the garbage. Yeah, that Ruger SP101 is nice. And Randy, yes, I own a Glock 19 Gen 5. I like it, but I prefer the Gen 3 over the Gen 5. I like the finger grooves um, on the Gen 3. And I apologize, Zombie. I can't, I'm using my computer to do the stream, so I can't see that. And I am trying to find all the comments here. So if I miss your comments, I apologize. They do go by fast. Zephyrus Gaming, Cult Python, awesome. I bought a Cult Python Combat Elite. That is by far the best revolver I have ever shot. And let me tell you, when you pull the trigger on that Cult Python, that's butter. That's where all that money went. It is worth every penny. But the Python Elite is even better than the regular Python. The Cult Python Elite comes with a tritium night sight, G10 grips, and the cylinder is flat, not fluted. I don't have a problem with my Ruger finishes. I mean, when you think about it, the Ruger GP100 is in the 700 and something dollar range as opposed to almost 1,500 for the Python. And in my opinion, honestly, the Ruger is half the price as the Colt Python, but you're not getting half the quality of a gun. There's nothing absolutely wrong with a Ruger. So, your friend Vanguard, you want to buy a revolver? I would recommend the Ruger GP100 or the SP101 for the money. Well, Common Seeking, good luck with that shield. Honestly, I'm really not a fan of Smith and Wesson semi-autos. I love the revolvers. I'm not a fan at all. I don't like them. I don't like the way they shoot. And I find the triggers to be very gritty. Um, that's just me. I mean, people are buying them, um, but I just really don't care for them. All right, time check. It is almost 12:30. We will be ending the stream at 1 o'clock. So if you guys have any questions, um, ask them now. This is why we do this stream. We do this for you guys. It's a place for us to be able to share information. Problem I have now, and eventually we'll all get there, is that when I walk into a gun store, it gets harder and harder to find the gun I want. Jack Schwartz, I see you must have just woke up from your mommy's basement too. And that happens with you liberals because you don't have jobs and you live with mommy and daddy in the basement and you don't wake up till around noon. Wilbert Howard, this is just my opinion. I love Springfields. Don't get me wrong. I have a Ronin. I have a Hellcat Pro. I have an Emissary. But in my opinion, the Springfield XD series is not their best quality guns. They feel very cheap in your hand. And when you shoot them, they do feel very cheap. And Drummer Dave, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that, brother. I agree with you, Donovan. It's, unfortunately, I'm old school. And the guns back in the day, the new guns are never going to. The new guns are never going to hold up like that anymore. And they have to keep churning out more and more guns to make sales, right? It's almost like what they do with cell phones. If they don't come out with a new model phone, nobody will buy them, right? So they just keep churning out crap. And this is one of the reasons why Glock discontinued a lot of their firearms and came out with the V series. They needed to reduce their portfolio. Glock had so many 9mm that were virtually the same that they had to get rid of them. Yes, I agree, Donovan. However, as far as magazines go, for 1911s anyway, I don't run anything except for Wilson Combat or Chip McCormick. And LJ, you're not going to get an argument with me as far as 10mm being the best caliber. I'm a huge 10mm fan, but it's not for everyone. I love my 10mm. I own a lot of them, but I would never recommend anyone to go out and buy one. It's a lot of fun, but it takes a lot of training. And be honest with you, as much as I love my 10mm, there's no way that you're going to be able to do follow-up shots with a 10mm and be as accurate as you would with a 45 or a 9. And Quattro's King, I disagree with 9mm being the best or 45 being the best. There's no such thing as the best caliber. They all have advantages and disadvantages. And it's all about shot placement. If you can't shoot for shit It doesn't matter what caliber you're shooting. Um, some people like 9mm because there's no recoil. 45 auto, in my opinion, has got very little recoil. And if you practice, 10mm is very controllable. But there's no such thing as the best caliber. Everybody shoots different guns differently. Some people could shoot a 45 better than others. It basically comes down to the gun you shoot best, not the caliber. I live in the great state of Tennessee. I shoot every day in my backyard. Um, but realistically, I love my 10. But if I had to fire 3 or 4 follow up shots, I would definitely be more accurate with a 9mm or 45. But the caliber debates have been going on for way too long. Um, and it's never going to get resolved. So, my suggestion is find a gun you shoot well and stick with it. Don't worry about what the caliber is. It's almost like what's the best gun, right? I mean, the best gun is the gun you happen to have on you at the time. No, I did not serve. I'm not a fan of the LCP, to be honest with you. And thanks for that, Shane. I appreciate that. Smith and Wesson Model 29 is awesome. That is a classic, and they are bringing that back. And Michael, what pocket carry would I buy? None. I am not a fan of pocket carry. Um, it just makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck as an NRA instructor. Watching people pocket carry drives me crazy. It's almost as bad as women who carry in their purse. Thoughts on a bear caliber and bear loads? Um, Ideally, a 44 Magnum. Is what I would use for bear. If you're going to use a semi-automatic, though, 10mm will definitely do it. You get 15 rounds out of that Glock 20. Home defense gun. There's a lot of good home defense guns. I mean, in my opinion, a revolver is definitely the way to go for home defense for someone that's a new shooter. Revolver is very easy to operate. Uh, yeah, the 50 Desert Eagle is good for bear as long as you don't miss. And Castle Theory, those are great choices. Home defense, honestly, my Mossberg 500 is probably the best uh, for home defense. You know what, Michael? My experience is if you want a gun you can't afford and you already have a gun, save your money and buy it. Don't buy cheap. Um, None of us buy guns with the intention of selling them, but there may be a time when, for whatever reason, financially, that you're forced to sell a gun. If you're going to buy a piece of crap, you're not going to get anything for it. I always recommend buy the best gun you can afford to buy. I know a lot of people go out and they buy a Taurus because they're cheap. They buy a High Point because they're cheap. Um, if it's for defense, like I said, I don't ever go into a gun store saying, show me the cheapest piece of crap you have in here. Well, you know what, Jonesing, that's fine. That's up for you. As long as that works. Um, there's things that annoy me, but I'm not going to criticize you. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. Um, I'm also old. I'm very set in my ways. And chaos theory, yeah, the problem with the Taurus is that, again, people are going to think I'm talking about their mothers, but I own a few Tauruses and I have not had a problem with them. However, they did turn out a lot of shit in Brazil in the 80s, and that's why they discontinued the whole PT series. Um, I have a Taurus G3C, haven't had a single issue with it. I also have the Taurus GX2, haven't had a single issue with it. But there are thousands and thousands of failures. And if you Google the recalls and the returns on Tauruses, it's staggering. Um, Having a lifetime warranty doesn't mean anything if your gun is always in the shop. Their customer support does really suck. But again, some people get lucky and they get one that works. Um, it's just hit or miss. I still don't know if I would go into the store looking for a Taurus to protect myself or my family. Now, I have a Taurus 605. That's a great revolver. I love Taurus revolvers. I always have. But the Taurus semi-automatics are just touchy and they're hit or miss. Uh, Drummer Dave, I disagree. I carry inside the waistband all the time. I even carry a SIG P320 inside the waistband. I'm old. I've been carrying forever, and I've never had a negligent discharge. Why? Because I keep my damn finger off the trigger. Oh no, I do not get lured by affordability. Um, every time I look at a gun, I can't afford it. And I wait until I accumulate more money, and then I buy the gun I want. Um, I used to buy cheap guns when I first started, and I had nothing but a bunch of cheap crap. And I got rid of all of my lower quality guns and bought guns that cost more money. I'd rather have less guns that are great quality than a lot of guns that are sketchy. Um, but that's just me. Now, I get it. Everybody's on a budget, right? Now, if there's a situation where you absolutely have to have a gun to defend yourself and you don't have 6 months to save money, then you know what? You do what you got to do. You go buy a Taurus. But if you look at the price of a Taurus, especially if you want an optic ready, and you have to go with the Toro model and spend almost $300, at that point, you might as well just go buy the Ruger RXM because that is head and shoulders above the Taurus, and it's only like $50 more. Um, Michael, no, I am not a fan of the M&P. To be honest with you, um, the M&P, in my opinion, are just The triggers are very gritty. I just don't personally like them. Um, a lot of people do. They're very popular. In my opinion, though, um, I just don't like them. And Skipper, Merry Christmas to you. No, and Duke, the Ruger RXM has only been out a year, but I'm telling you, trust me on this. I've shot a lot of guns. I own a lot of guns. For the money, there is nothing that beats the quality of the Ruger RXM. I put my Ruger RXM against my Glock 19 any day. And Merry Christmas to you too, Skipper. Am I a Glock fan? Not anymore. I used to be. Um, I used to be a Glock poster child um, until the Ruger came out with the RXM. And in my opinion, um, the Ruger RXM is just a better gun than the Glock 19 for $350. Uh, you know what, Donovan? I've had Glocks for 20 years. Um, I don't have any issue with polymer. I'll be honest with you. Um, the quality of polymer is better now. They will last you a long, long time. Favorite gun I own? That's tough because I own a lot of guns in a lot of different categories. I would probably say though, I'm going to go with my Glock 20 10 millimeter, but I could also name any other gun I own. And thank you for that, Insatiable 420. The Glock 20, by the way, Duke, that Glock 20 is the best 10 millimeter on the planet. It really is. I've shot almost every 10 millimeter. I own a lot of 10 millimeters. There's nothing that beats the Glock 20. And I see we got more liberals waking up. Funny thing about all these liberals that live in their mommy and daddy's basements is they don't have jobs. So they usually wake up around 12, 12:30, and they have nothing better to do. So they join our stream, and I'm glad to have them. They're entertaining. Yes, Michael, we live in the great state of Tennessee, and we have very, very lax gun laws here, too. Now, don't get me wrong, I like steel frame guns and I like hammer fired guns. Um, Even a bad hammer fired trigger is better than a striker fired trigger any day. However, almost all the guns coming out now are polymer frame striker fire. So, um, and yes, Roger, I do like insulting people. If people are going to act like asses, yes, I do like to insult them. Yes, we have the right to protect ourselves too. And Michael, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Yeah, I get that too, Duke. Every time somebody asks where I'm from and I tell them I came from the communist state of New Germany, I get a laugh too. But what do I think of 1911s? They're awesome. I love 1911s. I have a lot of them. I carry them. They're not for everybody, but in my opinion, I still think the 1911 is the best made gun in the planet. And I do love the great state of Tennessee. They do respect our gun rights, the communist state of New Germany. It's kind of ironic that ever since they started issuing carry permits, they started losing gun rights. LGG, you own a Kimber and a Colt. What do I prefer? I got to tell you, I prefer, and welcome Clinton from Oklahoma. Yes, Jonesing, the reason New Jersey didn't ruin me is because I left. I tell it like it is. New Jersey just blows. And Governor Murphy destroyed that state, so I left. Anyway, I digressed. So the Kimber or the Colt? Well, I had a Kimber. I always wanted a Kimber. I got a Kimber Custom 2 1911. I had it a few weeks, and it jammed every fifth round. It was so finicky. And then I got rid of it, and I got the Colt government competition, and I absolutely love that. Now, some people love Kimber, some hate them. I'm old, I'm set in my ways. If I have a bad experience with a brand, I will never buy it again. So I will never buy another Kimber. However, being it's a 1911, I do know that 1911s are very finicky with ammo and magazines. And on a 1911, I only use Wilson Combat or Chip McCormick magazines. And in all fairness, if I would have used the Chip McCormick magazines or Wilson Combat on the Kimber, I may have had a different outcome. Yes, New Jersey is so screwed up, you cannot carry hollow points. The problem with that is, in New Jersey, you have non-gun people making up gun laws. So they would rather you use ball ammo. So if you have to shoot somebody, it'll go through 3 people. Now, if you see what that jackass Cory Booker from New Jersey is trying to do, him and that Asian guy Kim are trying to pass a bill now requiring people to have an FFL in order to buy or sell firearms. Fortunately, that's never going to happen because they're never going to get the 60 votes. Another thing that's been bouncing around forever in New Germany is the sensitive areas, magazine capacity, and assault weapon ban. And Michael, that is a federal firearms license, which a gun dealer needs. But anyway, it just seems that since the Braun case, when New Jersey started issuing carry permits, they started taking other gun rights away. They actually went backwards in New Germany. And Governor Free Stuff Murphy started it all. The mag ban, they never once go after the bad guys because they can't do that. And this is coming from a guy that sent all the old people to the nursing homes during COVID and allowed prisoners to vote. But so New Jersey now is still, and Frizzlelink, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that, brother. So New Jersey is still dicking around with the sensitive areas where you can and can't carry. You can't carry within 1,000 feet of a school or a park. Well, guess what? There's no place in the state of New Germany that you're not 1,000 feet from a school or a park. You can't carry during a parade or a gathering, and this and that. I think it's like $600 for a carry permit. So they made believe they are issuing permits, and they are issuing them if you want to pay a premium and not be able to carry anywhere. And that's what they did. No, actually, the Second Amendment does give you the right to keep and bear arms. And protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. Yes, we do have stand your ground laws in Tennessee. And as far as felons, I think that it should really be on a case-by-case basis. I don't think it should be across the board that if you're a felon, you can't own a firearm, because someone that cheated on their income taxes or committed white-collar crime, even though they're felons, they were never a threat. So I think it should be on a case-by-case basis. And if you're a felon that was not convicted for a violent offense, by all means, I think they should be able to own and carry a firearm. Well, guess what? In Tennessee, you don't need a permit to carry anymore either. We can open or conceal carry in Tennessee. The only reason we get the carry permits are for reciprocities to carry in other states. But as of 2 years ago, you don't need a permit to open or conceal carry in Tennessee. So, you know what, Osfordland, that's your opinion. You're entitled to that opinion. However, I don't think someone that cheated on their income taxes that's classified as a felon should be put in the same category as a rapist or a murderer. Which, by the way, speaking of that, Governor Freestuff in New Jersey just pardoned 32 murderers. So that means they will now be able to carry a firearm because their records will go away. But anyway, again, like I said, it should be on a case-by-case basis. Just because you're a felon doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to carry. It should be based on the type of crime you did carry. Yep, New York City pardons cop killers. So does New Jersey. Governor Murphy's like pardoning. He's given a pardon to like every murderer there is before his term ends. I agree, being a felon shouldn't be classified the same. That's why I'm saying that it should be on a case-by-case basis, and it should be based on whether you committed a violent crime. All right, guys, just to do a time check, we have 5 minutes left. And thanks to all the new people. We got a lot of new people that joined today. And thank you for that. We really appreciate that. We do these live streams every Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern and every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. So thank you for joining if you're new. We do this on a regular basis. So turn on your notifications so you'll be notified of that. Also, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. I have almost 1,000 videos out there to watch. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. We're a small channel, and we get our revenue to buy firearms and accessories based on revenue we generate. We generate revenue from YouTube based on how many videos are watched. So watch our videos, comment, share them, etc. And there is nothing wrong with Democrats or liberals joining our channel. We welcome everyone. Thank you, Jonesing. I appreciate that. As long as And even arguments are great as long as they're respectful. Um, that's the good thing about America. We're entitled to our opinions. But just because we don't agree with each other doesn't mean we have to um, get nasty about it. Um, Arguments as far as what gun or caliber is better is a great thing. Sometimes when we argue, we learn and uh, maybe we change our point of view as long as they're respectful. That's all. However, the problem we have with most liberals is that if you don't agree with them, they either want to silence you or they call you racist. So, LGG, what caliber do I prefer? Hence Pro Gun 45. 45 caliber is right up there, and then 10 millimeter. But I really enjoy doing these live streams. I love firearms. I'm old. I've been exposed to firearms for over 40 years. Um, and I like being able to share knowledge and information with as many people as I can. Jonesing 45 ACP on the Bear. I would go with a 10 millimeter at minimum, only because the 45 ACP is such a slow moving bullet. I'm not sure it would penetrate the bear's fatty and muscle layers. Bear's got a lot of fatty tissue and a lot of muscle. I'm not sure. You know what, Osman, you're welcome to your opinion, and if a 380 works for you, that's fine. But personally, I would never uh, carry anything less than a 9 for personal defense. And Tommy John, thank you so much. I get a lot of negative comments, so it's good to get something positive every once in a while. Yes, and not to mention thick bones. Bear tough, man. That's a lot to ask for any round. Love you too, Jonathan. Yeah, I carry a 45 with hollow points too, but it would not be my go-to gun in bear country. That's for sure. I agree, Dab Josh. Carrying a gun because it's not meant to kill is just stupid. Now, granted, anybody that has ever trained, when you take training, we train to stop the threat. We don't shoot to kill. We shoot to stop. Right? However, sometimes stopping the threat, they are killed. I don't think a 380 is the best caliber for stopping the threat if you do have to kill it. All right, guys. It is 1 o'clock now, so we will be ending the stream. Thank you so much for all the new subscribers and all the people that are new to this stream that didn't find us before. Hopefully, you'll subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you'll be notified of our streams. We do these live streams every Wednesday evening, 8 o'clock Eastern, and we do them every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern till 1 o'clock. They're basically an open forum where we discuss firearms and accessories, opinions, etc. Arguments are great as long as they're respectful. Again, thank you all. Hope you all have a happy new year next year. It's coming very close. And be safe out there. Thank you. Till next time.